Hey there, Patriots. This is True Outlaw Patriot coming at you with another one. The video that I'm putting out tonight, if you've read the title or the thumbnail, is exactly what I'm going to be showing you, and that's how these Democrats basically act the way I've been saying for the longest, which is that they don't care, okay, about victims, humanity, and the way things are going on in this country, okay. They only care about the illegals coming in for the votes, okay, and with them everything is all about optics, and it's best to keep things quiet, because if you don't, okay, they're going to accuse you of something that's not true, which is being racist, being a homophobe, xenophobe, Islamophobe, being inhumane because you don't show the humanity that needs to be shown to people that have come into this country illegally and committed crimes. And they do it in a way where they try to pretend as if they have sympathy, but it ends up being something that really pisses people off. And one of the most disgusting things you can do, okay, is to turn a conversation with family members of victims who have been hurt and or killed, okay, by illegal migrants, and make it seem as if it's all a prop that the Republicans are using, okay, to gain more votes, instead of getting to the root cause and saying, you know what, don't even say a word, just keep your mouth shut and look in the mirror, because it's you and your boss, which is the administration that's in the White House now, that has caused this much pain and chaos. But leave it up to the Democrats, okay, to try to always spin things around. Okay, now for sake of time, I'm going to see if I can make this video shorter than usual, and I should be able to. I only got 2 video clips. They're about 9.5 minutes apiece. I'm going to try to keep my comments to my thoughts to a minimum, because I know that a lot of my videos, you know, they're pretty lengthy. But I'm also trying to do this for myself to see if I can condense as much information as I can. So please bear with me on this, and of course, please watch the whole video, and we'll just I'll see if I can stay on this kind of path to do this as much as I can. But this is put out, okay, both videos are put out by the Economic Times, okay. I'll leave a link for both videos in the description. So with all that being said, I just want to thank all my new subscribers and all my subscribers here on YouTube and on Rumble. So don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, pass the channel around. And if you can help support the channel, there's a link in my description to my Cash App and my merch store. And also I'm leaving a link to Loza Alexander's Gifts and Go campaign, where if you guys can help donate and or leave him words of encouragement or prayer. And I know I've been saying it's his GoFundMe, but I finally looked at the link again, even though I've been pasting it, and it actually says Gifts and Go. So that was my mistake, but I'm trying to rectify all that. But with all that being said, the video that I showed you yesterday of the women in Congress, okay, that was speaking about their family members, you know, their lives being taken, their children's lives being taken by illegal migrants. Here's 2 more. The next 2 clips I'm going to show you are from more of that hearing, okay. So listen to what this Democrat congresswoman has to say. And like I said, it's beyond me. It's just like, you know, you Democrats just have no damn shame, man. You really don't. And it's just pathetic that you even listen. Even if what you're thinking is true, there is a time and place, okay, to say what you have to say, but leave it up to the Democrats to pretty much say whatever they want and make it seem as if, you know what, it's okay if we say it, but if anybody else says it, or if anybody on the right says it and it's against us, it's a disgrace. But let's continue.
Jolie from Texas is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I first want to also express my profound condolences to each.
And just quickly, okay, even though I know it's not full, but look at how many more Republicans are here, and there's only, what, 3 Democrats on this side? And this is a hearing, okay, about the border crisis. And you would think that more Democrats would be there, since they say that everything is so bipartisan, or whatever the case is, okay, that they're coming together trying to work on a plan. Is like, where are you? You can't even send enough people to match up, even though there's not that many Republicans there. But there's definitely a lot more Republicans on their side than there is Democrats on their side. But I digress on that. Let's continue.
Each and every one of you who've suffered loss. I have 2 kids. I'm a mom. I would do anything for my kids, and I cannot imagine the grief of losing a loved one in such a tragic way. So I want you to know how much I respect the courage that it took for you to be here today to share your grief and your pain. I represent El Paso, Texas, an incredible community right on the US-Mexico border. I'm the only member of this committee who actually lives on the border, raised her kids on the border. I'm a 3rd-generation border resident. And there is no one who wants to modernize our outdated laws more than those of us who live on the border.
Okay, now I'm going to cut it real quick. You heard what she just said. There is no one that wants to modernize the outdated laws. Keep that in mind, okay? Here we go.
We are the families that have for decades been trying to help the federal government treat people with dignity and humanity. And we have long been asking for reform. I think what is most frustrating to me as a member of Congress is what is happening today at this committee hearing, where we have colleagues who are exploiting people's pain for political purposes. And unfortunately,
Okay, you heard that. Now, right before that, see, this is what the Democrats do. What she was basically saying right before that is not about fixing the laws or anything like that. She mentions about, you know, them trying to find a way, okay, to make things better, okay, at the border and what's going on in El Paso. Basically, what she's saying is this, and is what the Democrats are saying. They don't want to shut the border down. What they want is for Republicans, okay, to join their side in letting in every single illegal and helping them to become Americans right away, regardless of who's coming in. That's basically what this woman is trying to say. If you don't believe me, I'm going to go back a little bit, okay? Listen to the way they spin the words around, okay? And then we'll get to what she just said about the Republicans.
an incredible community right on the US-Mexico border. I'm the only member of this committee who actually lives on the border, raised her kids on the border. I'm a 3rd-generation border resident. And there is no one who wants to modernize our outdated laws more than those of us who...
Yeah, basically get rid of the laws at hand to stop illegals from coming in. That's basically what it is. Basically, instead of an illegal trying to get through, okay, and having them do, go through the right channels, do the right paperwork, go through the process, it's like, no, we need to eliminate all that because that's what the Democrats want. It's not about reforming and making it better. The laws that are at hand are fine as they are. No, it's about, what we want to do is basically leave the border wide open and just let the whole world come on in.
live on the border. We are the families that have for decades been trying to help the federal government treat people with dignity and humanity.
You see, to help treat them with dignity and humanity. There they go again, using that word humanity. You don't have the right to use that word anymore. Like I keep saying, what about the humanity of the victims, of the people in America, of the Americans that have been killed because of people like you that are in power, okay, in a border state, okay, and all you want to do is say that, oh, you know what, for decades we've been trying, okay, to work with our colleagues or whatever the case is, or Congress or the federal government, okay, to change things. All she's basically is doing, okay, is spinning it all around, trying to make it seem like, you know what, we're trying our best and, you know, it's a pain, but what you really should be saying is we need to keep the border shut, but that's not what they want. That's not what they want. Let's continue.
And we have long been asking for reform.
Reform, there you go again.
I think what is most frustrating to me as a member of Congress is what is happening today at this committee hearing, where we have colleagues who are exploiting people's pain for political purposes. And unfortunately, that's what's happening today.
You know what's the horrible thing about what she just said? I mean, there's so many things that's horrible about it. But the one horrible thing for her, okay, to be sitting there and say those words, the horrible thing about that is that she's over here saying, just like every other Democrat, that this is the Republicans are using this, okay? When was the last time, and I challenge anybody to send me good video, when was the last time anybody heard of a Democrat in Congress, on Capitol Hill, talking about victims, okay, whose lives were taken or destroyed by illegal immigrants? And she has the nerve to talk about that the Republicans talk about this for votes, yet the Democrats keep it quiet for votes.
The finger pointing at the administration by members of Congress is frustrating to me as a member of Congress because we are the ones who write the laws. It is legislators who are responsible to write the laws around immigration, around border policy, and it is up to legislators to adequately fund the resources necessary. I can tell you that I have been pushing a bipartisan comprehensive immigration reform bill that addresses outdated border policies.
There they go again.
And that
there she goes again, outdated border policies. There is nothing wrong with the laws at the border. If anything, they need to be enforced even more. Let me tell you something. Every time a Democrat uses that term outdated in something, and if they use the word outdated in any law, it's because they want to abolish that law. Okay? I mean, Barack Obama would say it all the time that the Constitution was no good, that it's outdated. You've heard many Democrats use that term about the Constitution. Okay? What we have in our country is what the Democrat Party has become, a bunch of socialists, Marxists. Okay? They want open borders. They want to see the collapse of America. They do not love America. They do not respect and love other human beings. Let's continue.
that addresses migration and immigration together. There are 8 Republicans who've had the courage to join that bill. None of them are on this committee. And that bill cannot move because of the obstacles put in front of that. The administration has tried and asked over and over again for adequate resources. They've been hamstrung by obstacles put in the way, preventing those resources from getting to where they need to be.
But what she's not saying, the reason why those bills are being stopped is because the Democrats keep putting pork into the bills. There was a bill that was supposed to pass, okay? But right away, the Democrats wanted to throw another, $60 billion into it for Ukraine. And Republicans were like, no, We're not doing that. Let's figure out the border and let's make all the other bills separate. But that's not what the Democrats want. The Democrats want to put what they call pork into a bill. Why can't you just have one bill for the border? And that bill should be send them the money that they need and shut the damn border down. That's it. No underlying, nothing. No hidden agenda, no fine print, nothing.
Mr. Ivey mentioned a Senate bill so draconian, I could not have voted for it.
Right.
It was enforcement only. It was, to me,
As it
not
should be.
workable because it was so focused, again, only on enforcement.
Exactly.
But it wasn't Democrats who stood in the way of that. It was the folks on the other side of the aisle who torpedoed what was the most border hardening bill ever written. And that's what Republicans called it. And with regard to, Mr. Ivey, you mentioned wanting...
Okay, let me stop it real quick. I'm sorry, people. She started the argument. She started her what I'm calling it an argument because, I mean, that's what she's basically starting. That the Republicans are using victims, okay, as like a prop or for their votes or whatever the case is. But yet, all she's been doing is bashing the Republicans. So who's using this hearing? Who's using this hearing in a political manner? She is. And that's what the Democrats do. And what pisses me off with the Republicans, and this whole thing about having decorum, okay, where does it say that nobody on the left or the right cannot stand up and argue with this lady right to her face, right in the middle of this meeting? This is why I could never be a politician. Because if I was sitting on the right, I would be getting up. This meeting would have been destroyed. I would have got up right in her face. I would have got up and just started telling her off and telling her exactly what the people need to hear. Okay? Which is these Democrats do nothing but lie. And it's infuriating that these Democrats can sit there so nonchalantly. Okay? And she talked about the finger pointing, but yet all she's been doing is finger pointing.
Solutions, and one of our colleagues mentioned HR2. I know you're aware of this, but their bill, HR2, relies almost exclusively on Mexico. And if Mexico wasn't doing the job that they're determining needed to be done in HR2 was a fantasy. It would.
Well, the reason why they're focusing on Mexico, because the bulk of people are coming through Mexico. You know, you see what I'm saying about having people come and they don't pledge their allegiance to America? This woman makes it seem as if, you know, listen, the Republicans have tried to shut the border down in Mexico. What wound up happening? They opened up the border in Arizona and they opened up the border in California. Then Biden and his administration started flying people in from Venezuela. Every time the Republicans want to stop a entry point to stop all these illegals, all these immigrants coming in illegally, the Democrats go and find another way to get them in. And yet she's going to come out and say that the Republicans only want to focus on Mexico because 90% of them are coming through Mexico. Unbelievable.
Wouldn't do anything. My point is this. When there were mass shootings, including, as Ms. Lopez mentioned, a mass shooting in El Paso, Texas, by a white supremacist, 23 people shot and murdered in cold blood with an assault-style weapon, traumatizing an entire community.
I love the way she said that. Listen to exactly how she describes it. Listen.
There were mass shootings, including, as Ms. Lopez mentioned, a mass shooting in El Paso, Texas, by a white supremacist.
By a white supremacist, right? Here we go.
23 people shot and murdered in cold blood with an assault-style weapon.
With an assault-style weapon. Do you see how they use? I'm telling you, people, wow. Disgusting, disgusting, disgusting.
Traumatizing an entire community. We held hearings that were linked to solutions. We wanted to solve the issue. We wanted to bring resolution. We wanted to find a path forward so that people wouldn't live with the kind of pain that communities like ours that have lived through mass shootings had to live through. There really, truly, there is very little interest on the other side of working in a bipartisan way to find meaningful solutions. You all deserve that. Our country deserves that. And there are those of us in Congress fighting to get to those bipartisan solutions because we don't want to see families living in pain. We don't want you to endure the loss. We don't want anyone else to endure the loss that you all have endured. I and other colleagues are going to continue to work on those bipartisan solutions because that's what our country deserves. I hope you will join us in fighting for those bipartisan solutions because it's long past time that we get there.
So then she ends it off with vote for us. Meanwhile, they've been in power going on 4 years, and you would think if this woman, especially her, if they cared so much, they would have went to Joe Biden and said, shut the border, but they wouldn't do that. But yet, she talks about the Republicans finger pointing, her colleagues finger pointing, but yet she did all the finger pointing, okay, against the Republicans in front of all these people who have something to say. Unbelievable.
Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Jelly yields back. Ms. Nobles, did Republicans on this committee, Ms. Nobles, Republicans on this committee or any of Republican staff exploit you in any way to come to today's hearing?
No, I am not being forced to be here. I am here because I want to be here and I want changes to be made, and I'm fighting for here for my daughter. And I can't speak for everyone else, but I'm sure the other witnesses weren't even forced to be here either, and they want to because they love their children.
In fact, mine.
Okay, just a quick note. This gentleman right here, the second video that I'm showing is about him. You have to hear what he has to say about what's going on in California and Kamala Harris. But let's continue.
Understanding is our Republican staff helped you get answers to the murder of your daughter that you didn't get from anywhere else. Our staff helped get that information by
Yes,
going to DHS.
You have, yeah, yes.
How about you,
have.
Ms. Morin? Did you feel exploited anyway? That's what the Democrats just said.
No, I don't feel exploited.
You're here to
at
tell
all.
your story about what's going on out there. Ms.
Yes.
Gungary?
No, I do not feel exploited.
Miss-
I simply want to raise awareness that we need change, and my daughter's voice and her memory should not get lost in that.
Well said. Ms. Funder?
No, I don't feel exploited in any way. As a matter of fact, I find it very interesting that all 5 minutes for both of your testimonies on the left have not had any questions for us up here, but instead a speech. And I will tell you, I'm getting tired of hearing about the most comprehensive border bill, which did nothing for for American citizens. It gave visas
Exactly.
to people who needed to extend their visas, and it gave asylum to people coming over, and it did zero for an American citizen. And I would love somebody to answer to me what it actually did for American citizens.
Exactly.
It did not do anything for an American citizen.
Ms. Aguirre? Ms. Aguirre?
It's insulting that you would say that to these families, that you would make an assumption that they're being used or exploited anyway. But I will do is I'll give you my number. It's 281-673-0736, and I'd like a phone call from you to see what you can do to help these families, because every single week I get bombarded with calls from victims all over the United States, but I'm just a small person with a small foundation that helps people here locally in
Unbelievable.
Houston and Harris County. Not one time when her daughter was murdered and I was helping her navigate the criminal justice system did one Democrat call me to offer their assistance. It was only
Of course
Republicans,
not.
and I am an independent. I vote both ways.
I'm
So it's
happy to call
insulting.
you.
No, please don't speak over me, because I'm still talking.
There you go.
Okay.
I'm
Responding to your
not done.
invitation
I have the mic. I have the floor.
The chair
I have
has-
the floor. If you
chair
want to
has-
answer me, you
Has
ask.
the time and the witness is
Yeah.
allowed to
So
respond.
I'm asking, you said some very broad statements. It's insulting. These people lost loved ones. They lost children. and we want to see a difference. We may not understand everything that's going on, but I assure you that we're not being used in any way. And if today somebody calls that number that wants to help from any side of the aisle, we want solutions.
There you go.
That's
So
what
do
I
not,
just
I'm still
talked
talking.
about.
The
So
time-
please don't,
I just talked
don't
about
make an
belongs to
assumption,
them.
don't make an assumption that we're being used.
The time-
That is insulting.
There you go. And it's true. The Democrats never call, never do anything, never say nothing. But as soon as the people that are the victims, their families, say, you know what? If the Democrats ain't going to help, we're going to reach out to the Republicans. And the Republicans say, okay, you know what? We'll definitely help you. We're going to put your story on blast. Right away, the Democrats got to come out and say that the Republicans are using them. Okay? Just like what happened, okay, at the funeral memorial for the 13 soldiers that died in Afghanistan. Okay? 7 out of the 13, 7 or 8 out of the 13 soldiers that were killed, their families called Donald Trump and asked if he can go down to the memorial. Okay? And he did. And he was there to lay the wreath for them. Okay? Meanwhile, Joe Biden went on vacation again, was out on the damn beach that day. Kamala Harris supposedly, don't know if it's true or not, we know she didn't show up, but supposedly it was because she had a predetermined schedule to go to, I guess, a college sorority reunion, or whatever the case is. Who gives a shit, okay? The thing is that when Trump went down there, okay, right away, the Democrats and the mainstream media started vilifying him, saying that it was all for votes and props. So if it's all for votes and props, when the Republicans do something, okay, what do you call it when the Democrats don't do anything or don't say anything? Because it sounds like they don't address anything, especially when somebody's life is taken away because they're afraid to lose votes. See how that works? That's what the problem is. That the Democrats don't give a shit. Okay, like I've been saying. They talk so much about them caring for women and women's rights, and they care about Americans and the sovereignty of America. No, they don't. They don't. They take your vote, they take your money, they kick everybody to the curb. Illegals included. Okay? And Kamala Harris has the nerve to basically try to insult Trump during the primary. During the primary, right? Yeah. Okay. And it's like, well, wait a minute. You're over here insulting this man. You're over here saying that you got the back of all these organizations, okay, and saying that Trump doesn't have the back of anyone. And I'm thinking, and I'm like, there's no way that's possible. I'm thinking, people, I'm like, there's no way that's possible. He's always out there on the campaign trail. He's always surrounded. If it ain't by fire department, his police department, military, civilians, auto workers, he's always surrounded. Union workers, he's always surrounded. But she comes out and says no. Okay? That they're working with everybody and they have the back of everybody else, law enforcement, whatever the case is. Right? Then she came out during the primary debate and said, which was a lie, that Trump was all about defunding the police. We all know that was a lie, but yet mainstream media didn't fact check her on that. It's not even about fact checking her, just shutting her up and saying, you know what, that's not true. He never once uttered those words about defunding the police. Right? But the mainstream media is over here saying, like I said in my video last night, that she whooped his ass during the debate. And it's funny how more and more people keep coming out, okay, condemning the Democrat Party, condemning Joe Biden, condemning Kamala Harris, and yet all they can do is lie, lie, lie. And then you're going to have one of your stooges, okay, from El Paso, Texas, okay, sit in this congressional hearing and insult victims as if they haven't suffered enough, but then come out and say that it's the Republicans that are making them suffer more by having them come out. Basically putting words, trying to change the narrative, trying to make them believe, you know what? You know why you're here. Okay, as a matter of fact, she was better off just being brazen about it, and just saying that exactly the way it is. You people are just out here just for votes, and because it's just so disgusting the way this woman has to come out and insult these people. Okay, but with that being said, let's get to the next video, because there was something in the video that that I found very interesting, and the man that I pointed out, the sheriff, he is a sheriff of one of the counties in California. And he says something very interesting about Kamala Harris that I'm very surprised that it doesn't get more traction, and I think it should. Because then it will solidify, okay, the argument that when people come out and say that she was always about defunding the police, and the Democrats say, oh, no, she's not, if they heard this man's testimony, I think personally it will solidify that fact and show that this woman, out of just added to every other notch on her bedpost, no pun intended, that she does not have what it takes to be president of these United States. But here we go. Okay, people, I'm gonna play this clip. I'm gonna try to keep it short with my thoughts on it. Okay, but like I said, if I don't finish it off, I'm leaving the links in the description. Listen to what this man has to say, okay, about Kamala Harris.
I'm very familiar with Kamala Harris as the Senator and Attorney General in California, and I can tell you that the words that she has often spoken when it comes to defunding the police and ICE kin to the KKK is demoralizing to law enforcement and those trying to protect our country and protect victims. Thousands of people coming through a day where I visited and I saw people from Yemen, China, coming through. A friend of mine, Jody Jones, his brother was shot and killed at an AM/PM mini-mart where an illegal immigrant who had been deported 3 times over found his way back into the United States, attempted a robbery, and shot and killed a man. We're starting to see is an influx of Mandarin, or those from China. We're unraveling a human trafficking case of over 40 women who are involved in sexual prostitution up and down the state of California.
Unreal.
Who have found their way across the border and are here illegally, and that case is ongoing.
Okay. Now you heard what he said. Okay. I'm going to speed it up just a tad so you can hear him talk. And he says something that caught my attention that I was like, you know what? How can people in California, okay, Democrats, how can they vote for this woman with just one thing that this man said that I want everybody to listen to? How can anybody vote for this woman? I'm going to point it out. Here we go.
The consequences.
Hold on. Let me see when he starts talking. I believe it's right. Sorry, folks. I believe it's right about here.
It's Mike Boudreau. I am the sheriff of Tulare County in California. Tulare County sits in the heart of California, right in the center. We're a very large agricultural community. I have spent 38 years in law enforcement working in the sheriff's office and working with victims throughout my career. I am also an FBI National Academy graduate in Class 251, where I have law enforcement leaders from all over the country and as well all over the world who I have connections with. When it comes to the dangerous and sometimes deadly impacts of what I feel is a failed Biden-Harris administration on open border policies, the impacts of illegal immigration in California, I must say that I have a front row seat. I also served as the California State Sheriff's Association president, where I meet regularly with all other 57 sheriffs, there's 58, me being number 58, in the state of California hearing their stories. There's a few examples that I would like to be able to provide today.
And that's what it was that he said right there. There's 58 sheriffs in California. He meets with all of them. And then the next sentence was, I hear their stories. So that means that every single sheriff in every county in California get together to tell this man their horror stories of what's going on. And if that right there does not open up the eyes of Democrats to say, well, damn, it's not 10 sheriffs that have a beef with her. It's not 5, it's not 15, it's not 20. It's every single sheriff from every county in California. How can everybody be wrong? How can all these sheriffs be wrong? If they're all going to one man, he is in charge of all of them, not in charge of all of them, but like their organization where they get together and talk, and he hears their stories. Okay? You mean to tell me that this woman doesn't want to defund the police? Think about it.
We have a long issue of illegal immigration in California. However, over the last 3 years of the Biden-Harris administration, we have a deadly impact of violent criminals coming into our communities. We have migrant communities of farm workers who are now infiltrated and terrorized by those that they had fled other countries from, who are now in our communities terrorizing them, threatening their children, to be involved in drug trafficking, gun running, drug dealing, as well as gangs and sexual activity of children. I'm very involved with these migrant communities as the sheriff, and I can tell you the personal stories and impacts are heart-wrenching. Many of these communities have to do what's called paying rent. You must give money to the drug lord or the gang member or the violent criminal of those that you fled if you want to live peacefully within that migrant community. I'm very familiar with Kamala Harris as the Senator and Attorney General in California, and I can tell you that the words that she has often spoken when it comes to defunding the police and ICE kin to the KKK is demoralizing to law enforcement and those trying to protect our country and protect victims here in California and the United States. I have, as the president, walked the border, and over the course of the 38 years as sheriff, I have visited the border many times, and I have many friends in the Border Patrol as well as Homeland Security, and I can tell you that they are frustrated.
Of course.
Thousands of people coming through a day where I visited and I saw people from Yemen, China, coming through. In our town, we had a friend of mine, Jody Jones. His brother was shot and killed at an AM/PM mini-mart, where an illegal immigrant who had been deported 3 times over found his way back into the United States, attempted a robbery, and shot and killed a man. My deputies got into a pursuit and got into a violent shootout with this man. We have a case where that's called the reign of terror. I can tell you, as the Attorney General, Kamala Harris often lessened the impact of law enforcement with her quotes of defunding the police.
Yep.
I have story after story, but most recently what we're starting to see is an influx of Mandarin, or those from China. We're unraveling a human trafficking case of over 40 women who are involved in sexual prostitution up and down the state of California, who have found their way across the border and are here illegally, and that case is ongoing. We have financial crimes from Mandarin, thieves from China, who are stealing millions of dollars online from our elderly in the Central Valley and up and down the state of California. We had an illegal immigrant, El Mano Negro. He was a hired hand by the cartel, where we arrested, and finally he admitted to killing and assassinating over 25 people in our county at the hands of the cartel. We just unraveled a cartel in our county, dismantling that cartel. The people in that cartel that we arrested openly admitted that within the last 3 years, it's easier now to move human beings, drugs, guns, fentanyl most specifically, across the border, and that it's easier now than in the history of their cartel. I can tell you, because of the Biden and Harris administration, law enforcement resources are quickly depleted. We have victim after victim that we see, as you'll hear today, and that these stories are not unfamiliar to law enforcement up and down the state of California.
There you go. And does it sound familiar? What's going on in Chicago, Colorado, New York? You have all these woke people, all these Democrats, okay, trying to point the finger to Republicans in front of the families of victims who have lost their children, saying that the Republicans are using things like this for votes. But yet you're hearing about people in Ohio now complaining, going in front of the board meetings, the town hall meetings, nothing. People in Chicago, nothing. Matter of fact, Brandon Johnson doubled down. It's going to move the migrants to other shelters, and they're going to deplete some of the resources that they got, which is fire department and EMS and police department inside that also. You got this man who's the president of the Association of Sheriffs, I believe he said, okay, where there's 58 sheriffs, okay, and if I'm wrong about 58 counties, fine, but either way, 58 sheriffs, you give them 2 deputies each, you're talking a big police force that are basically being told, go kick rocks, by a woman that everybody knows, I've seen it, talked about defunding the police. But yet, let's keep giving more to illegals. Let's keep the border open. You got terrorists coming in, okay? You got the cartels coming in. You got people from China coming in, okay? So now you got the drugs, you got the human trafficking, you got the rape, you got the murder, you got the gun smuggling, you got the online cyber, what do you call it, attacks, I guess you want to call them, by them stealing money from elderly people. You have all these criminal elements coming in, and I'll say it again, and yet Kamala Harris could stand on the presidential debate stage and look at Donald Trump and say that he is a disgrace. Yeah. And then you have all these people, these poor souls, that they brainwash. I mean, and brainwash to the point that they are vicious against anybody else that doesn't think like them. And we all know, you guys know my content. This is just a small little portion of so many things I've covered of what the Democrats are doing. We can go on and on and on and on, and you guys know this. But yet the Democrats over here saying, nope, we're doing the right thing. We're on the right side of history. We're trying to save our democracy. Right. Your democracy. Okay. Anyway, that's what I got for you. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, pass the channel around. And if you can help support the channel, there's a link in my description to my Cash App and my merch store. And I'll be leaving the link for Loza Alexander's Gifts and Go campaign and a link to these 2 videos that I showed you. So remember, people, stay vigilant. Keep praying for each other. Keep praying for the women and the children. Pray for this country. Pray for your enemies. Pray for Donald Trump. And don't forget to get out there and vote. Peace.